Listening Library presents Marvel's Avengers, Endgame, featuring the Pirate Angel, the Talking Tree, and Captain Rabbit, by Steve Behling, read for you by Nolan North.
Chapter 1. "Hey, don't touch that!" The voice belonged to Rocket, as did everything else aboard the ship. Rocket could put up with just about anyone or anything as long as anyone or anything stayed out of his way. But one look at Thor Odinson, and it was pretty clear to him that that guy was most definitely in the way. When Rocket saw Thor Odinson move a hand toward the vessel's master control panel, he drew the line. He didn't care if the guy was a man or a god or the beautiful child of a pirate and an angel. "I wasn't going to touch anything," said Thor, his tone suggesting that he most certainly was considering exactly that. Rocket arched his right eyebrow, his lip curled into a sneer. "You can't lie to a liar," Rocket said. "Just don't get near any of the controls. They're all very delicate, like your facial features." He bared his teeth in an approximation of a grin. "I do not have delicate facial features," Thor protested, slightly defensive. "Come on, they are," Rocket jabbed. "A little delicate. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that."
"I am Groot."
Rocket whipped his head around, nearly colliding with the adolescent tree-like alien standing right behind him. Groot had a knack for sneaking up on people, just one of the annoying habits he'd acquired since whatever this pubescent phase could be called had overtaken the young tree with a vengeance. "Hey, what did I tell you about insulting our guest?" Rocket scolded, shaking his head. "If anyone's going to do any insulting around here, it's going to be me." Groot looked at Rocket and enacted an impressive, albeit obnoxious, imitation of the same sneer that Rocket used on Thor just a few seconds earlier.
"I am
"Don't finish that sentence," Rocket warned.
Groot."
"I mean it. You want to have tablet privileges revoked for a week? You go right ahead and finish that thought." If Groot had pockets, he would have shoved his limbs stubbornly into them, turned around grumbling, and walked away. As it was, he didn't, so after a moment's stare-off with Rocket, he simply muttered,
"I am Groot."
then ambled away. "He's in an awkward phase," Rocket said to Thor, by way of explanation, turning his attention to the master control panel. "Adolescence is never easy," Thor said, looking over Rocket's shoulder. "I remember when Loki and I were children. Loki transformed himself into a snake, and because I really, really loved snakes, I went to pick it up. But the moment I did, the snake transformed back into Loki, and then he stabbed me." It was at least 10 seconds before Rocket spoke, and when he finally did, he sighed and said, "Why do I have the feeling you tell this story a lot? Like, a lot?" Thor smiled wanly. "Maybe a few times," he acknowledged. "I bet this Loki gets a big kick out of it every time you tell it," Rocket said, chuckling. The thin smile on Thor's face quickly fell. "Not anymore," were the only words Thor could manage before he turned away. Rocket and Thor had known each other for only a few hours. They had met under poor circumstances, which were the only circumstances that Rocket seemed to know these days. The Guardians of the Galaxy had picked up a distress call from an unknown vessel and traveled to its last known coordinates on a desperate rescue mission. Well, maybe the motivation for the mission wasn't quite so much rescue as it was the potential of receiving a huge reward. The ship's coffers were running low, and expeditious as always, the crew was looking to do good, but also to store up some funds. But when they arrived, the Guardians found nothing but debris floating through space. And corpses. It seemed like anyone who had been aboard the distressed craft had been killed by person or persons unknown. Or at least that's what they'd thought until someone had slammed into the Guardian's cockpit. Bringing the survivor aboard, Rocket and the Guardians had learned that the man, god, child of a pirate and an angel's name was Thor, and he was an Asgardian. They'd also learned that the ship in distress was Asgardian in origin, and it had been destroyed by Thanos. Thanos, the so-called Mad Titan. Rocket thought Thanos was a real jerk, not just for destroying the Asgardian ship and all its occupants, though there was that. No, Rocket thought he was a jerk for everything he had done to Rocket's fellow guardian and friend, Gamora, daughter of Thanos. He had heard firsthand what Gamora had gone through under Thanos' watch, beginning from the time Thanos had killed half her people, the Zehobari, and taken Gamora as his adopted daughter. He pitted Gamora against another daughter, Nebula, engaging them in deadly rivalry designed to turn both of them into perfect killing machines. It worked, and for a long time it had cost the two women their souls. Jerk. "You're in a foul mood, Rabbit," Thor said, shaking his head. "I'm in a foul mood? Yeah, I wonder why," Rocket said sarcastically. Surely it had nothing to do with the pirate angel progeny constantly mistaking him for a rabbit.
I am Groot,
said the tree, trying to steal a look over Rocket's shoulder. The diminutive guardian quickly clutched the tablet to his chest and got up from his seat. "Stop sneaking up on people like that," Rocket yelled. "How many times do I gotta tell you? It's creepy."
I am Groot.
"Ugh, ever since you got a little sap, you're a total brat," Rocket said as he walked over to a bin and deposited the tablet safely within. "Why do I have the feeling that you say that to him a lot?" Thor interjected. "Like, a lot." Rocket stared daggers at Thor. "Are you making fun of me?" "No," Thor said innocently. "Of course not." "Yes, you are," Rocket replied. "You're mocking me." "Not at all," Thor added. "Yeah, right," Rocket snapped. "You're mimicking me."
I am Groot,
piped up Groot from his swivel chair. "Stay out of this tree," Thor said. Rocket poked a finger right in Thor's face. "Hey, you can't talk to him like that. Only I can talk to him like that." He turned to Groot. "Stay out of this tree."
I am Groot.
Rocket sat back down, slumped in his seat, and closed his eyes. Wait till I tell Gamora about you and that mouth of yours. Chapter 2. Rocket was busy. He was preoccupied tinkering with the pod, and Groot realized it was a great opportunity to snatch the tablet Rocket had been using and see what kind of games he had on it. Maybe there was something really good, something that would help pass the time on this super boring flight to wherever it was they were going. Groot chanced a glance over at the Thor guy, but he was busy staring out of the cockpit into space, his face looking as though his mind was 1,000,000 miles away. Groot thought about maybe saying something to him. Nah, it was finally time for Groot to have some fun. For all of Rocket's haranguing him about the time he spent playing video games, Groot would bet anything that Rocket had the best games of all hidden away on that tablet. Hypocrite. Groot crept across the floor with his nearly silent steps until he reached the bin where he'd seen Rocket drop the tablet earlier. Groot reached out with his thin wooden fingers and pulled the tablet from its resting place. Then he walked back across the cabin just as quietly as before until he came to his own seat. He plopped down, held the tablet in his hands, and looked at the black screen. Swiping it with his fingers, he saw nothing. The screen remained black. Groot scratched the top of his head with one of his long, scrawny, branch-like fingers. He touched the screen again. Still nothing. Maybe it was voice-activated?
I am Groot.
He whispered. That didn't work either.
I am Groot,
he said, and it wasn't an attempt at a password. It was a curse. Rocket wouldn't have approved. Or maybe he would have. Groot briefly thought about tricking Rocket into touching the screen, somehow getting him to swipe his furry finger on the tablet screen to see if that would turn it on. But that didn't seem like such a good idea, in that it couldn't possibly work. So he sat there for a moment, staring at the black screen, thinking. And then he noticed something peculiar. It looked like a corner of the blackness on the screen was peeling? That was decidedly strange. Groot pinched the corner with 2 fingers and pulled on it. As he did so, the black screen peeled right away, revealing the completely unlocked tablet. Rocket actually kept his tablet unlocked and used a decoy screen to hide the fact that it was on? Groot couldn't believe it. He smiled and wanted to shout, "I am Groot!" but he thought better of it.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?